What we're about to do is some decorative stepping stones. Here's all the different materials we have so far. We've got the glow in the dark or glow stones, number 2 and 3. We've got some river. It's called the river blend. That's a medium size. Pretty large aggregates actually in there, as you can tell. Then we got the red flat, pretty small pieces. This is all glass, by the way. And then we got the small river blend. This is gonna be real nice, I think, for some stepping stones. And then we have amber, like a little pea gravel in there. And they're gonna lay right here, 2 of them side by side, the 18-inch by 24-inch. 2 of them side by side, separated by about 4 inches. And there'll be a driveway eventually between the planter and the driveway. So okay, let's get to it then. Frame these up, get ready to put some concrete in there. Here's the concrete truck. I mean, the reason the concrete truck's here is because we just poured that slab, as you see to the right there. So I had some excess concrete. Typically on a DIY situation, you're not going to have a concrete truck for stepping stones. So you'll just mix those by hand. Get some pre-mixed concrete at Lowe's or Home Depot. Just mix them up and then put whatever decorative stuff you have laying around the house in there in the surface and go for it. And today I'm going to just be using some glass, and I showed that in the beginning, all the different ones. I've did this before with just blue glass only, but this time I'm using a few different colors and a few different sizes mixed in, so it's going to be a little different, something I haven't done yet. Eric's tapping the sides of the lumber just to get all the air pockets and rock pockets out, so when I strip it, it'll be really consolidated well. It's not really super necessary because the dirt on the sides will cover it all anyway, but it's just good practice. Right here, I'm just using a little hand float, a wood hand float. And guess what, Eric? You're gonna do what I'm doing over there. Stevie's a natural, a chef, changing careers to a concrete finisher. Notice how he's running that hand float on top of the lumber. That, you don't really want to do that unless your lumber is very clean. But typically you want to stay on the inside of your wood. Eric, do you prefer being called a chef or a cook?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter to me. It's all the same concept.
That's up to you guys to decide. Is he the chef or is he the cook? Today's the day we're going to find out. So far, so good. You're staying to the top of the forms, which is a good sign. You're not dipping the float on your overlaps. So it's looking good. Doesn't look any different than what I did.
Yep.
That's pretty good first day. trying the hand edger out. That's a little more tricky to use than the hand float, especially in a short pad like this, because the corners want to drop on you when you hit the corners. And they're so close together, you got to keep reversing direction, flipping the edger, the angle of attack. So this is pretty hard to edge these, especially for a rookie. Notice how he's leaving the line on the outside of the edger. That's good practice. That means that you're holding it flat. You're not dipping the edges. How that hand float, what made it work for you?
I found out when I first did it, it started sticking onto the concrete. But then I remembered when we did the brick wall over here that if you shake it, it'll bring out that butter, which will make it a lot smoother and nicer looking, and it'll make it slide a lot easier doing it that way, vibrating it.
Yeah, we'll put some of these, right? And then we'll throw a little, we'll throw some big rocks too with it. What do you think with a little color too in here? Yeah, let's throw some blue in with this. Got some blue, some greens, you know, whatever, just throw it in there. Break your old champagne bottles, wine bottles, throw them in there. Let's do another one identical to that. So this is kind of like feeding the chickens, the way I'm throwing this out there. This way, if you open your fingers up a little bit as you throw, it disperses them pretty equally. Here we go. Here's the trick right here. Seeding it, you know, you gotta beat it. Beat it down until the cream comes up. That's what you're going for here. See that? You want to get it down in there. You want all that cream around every rock. It's important that you get all that cream around those rocks. That way when you rinse, they'll all still be encased. At least 75% of them will be encased, each individual glass or rock. Next, tap it. See the cream starting to come up? Rocks going down, cream's coming up. Spread it a little bit. Work the cream into cracks and crevices. You don't want to set these too deep either. So no, you don't want to go too early with your rocks. You know what? If these really glow, really bright, it'll reflect into the colors too a little bit, maybe, if I'm lucky. The first 4 we did green, blue, and glow. Now we're going red, amber, and glow. So the one thing that's not changing is these, the glow rocks. That's our constant to tie everything together, no matter where it is. Hopefully these will show up. Look how little these things are. Wow, look at that. Look at my hands. Looks like it almost changed the color of my hand almost. Just the glow of them, the sun reflecting through them, changes the color of my skin almost. Look at that. Wow. Look at the vibrance. This is just fun, you know? Really, this is the fun part. See what's going to happen in the end. Wow, I don't know how, but we did it just right on the gloves. Check them out. The glows are gone. We got a lot of red and green and blue left. Amber's almost gone.
Blue and green was nice.
The true tell will be when we do the rinse, because we're going to do the rinse on these and expose it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be exposing all this in about 3 hours, I'd say. Maybe 2, if we're lucky. There it is. Yeah, it's coming up right now.
That'll be a nice thick layer on top.
Just look at it. Oh, wow.
Getting a little excited there, Dave.
I mean, that's how concrete it is, you know? It's exciting. Right?
Yeah. Well, it is going to be definitely exciting to see how this is going to come out.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've never did this.
Yeah.
This combination, this many variation in rock sizes and stuff. So it's gonna be different, to say the least. It's all right here in the wrist. Look at that. Technique on beating these rocks down. See if he's got it down yet. Point after I trowel these edger lines out, that's pretty much a wrap until you're ready to rinse. You just have to wait till it gets hard enough to put that rinse on there. You don't want to rinse it early because it'll overexpose the rocks and they'll all start tumbling out. But you can test do little bits, a little bit at a time to test whether it's ready or not. Once we do this rinse, we're going to also show the acid wash and sealing and placement of these stepping stones. So I'm using a water hose with no nozzle on it to do these. I'm just running the hose without a nozzle because a nozzle has a little bit too much pressure. So as I'm rinsing this right now, I'm looking for areas that the rock's not quite as exposed, and I'll touch those areas a little bit more with the sponge and then do another rinse. That way it gets as uniform as I can. So these 4 squares are the blue, green, and glow rock. And these 4 are the red, the amber, and the glow rock. Here's the muriatic acid that I'll be using to clean these. Basically, I had the water in that bucket already, and then I just added acid to the bucket. And that's what you want to do when you're using acid. Always start with the water, add the acid to it. Because if you put the acid in first, it'll fume right up in your face. So when it hits the water, it's already diluting it really quickly, so you don't get all that action. So when I went about 5-to-1, which is pretty strong. You know, some people go 10-to-1, but I like to go 5-to-1 because I don't want to have to scrub as much with a broom. So you can see how clean the glass is now. Now I just have to let this dry out again overnight, and now we'll seal it. And there's the type of sealer we're using. I'm going full strength with this. There's no non-slip additives to this. I'm not adding that. Sometimes I'll add it, but there's there's really good texture on these exposed aggregate stuff, so you don't need a non-slip additive, and it's still going to have plenty of traction. The way that I'm going to set these for my entrance to the house, I'm going to stagger. I'm going to alternate red, blue, and kind of work them together. Some people would call that a Picasso, but I just call it an Odell. Okay, this is an hour after we put the sealer. Now listen carefully. We got some bubble formation. The reason it did that, one thing is the temperature. The temperature of the concrete was rising quickly because we're at that time of day, and I put it on thick, so air got trapped and then it bubbled. So if you dilute it, and in this case I didn't dilute the sealer, but if you dilute it, you can avoid that because it goes down thinner. Then you can multi-coat it. And also time of day when you put sealer is crucial. It's probably better to do it evening or very early in the morning. So those bubbles, if you want to know how to fix them, it's pretty simple. On something like this where you have this much texture going on, I mean, you don't notice that there's any bubbles in it, but if you did a really smooth surface with sealer and it bubbled on you, then you would have to wipe it down with some acetone, and it just dilutes it enough to smooth out the bubble lines. Now the fill between the stepping stones is going to be the native rock right here on my lot. And these native rocks, as you can see, are really round and very colorful, and they're just laying on the surface like someone had sprinkled them out. And the reason it's that way is because all the dirt blows away, and then you're left with just a rock on the surface. So I just skim the surface, and now any residual dirt I'll just rinse this way. I got the bucket tilted a little bit, jabbing the hose in there until the water runs clear. And now I dump it in the location I want to put them. I'm just going to fill in all the voids. You could seal these rocks too after it dries out if you want to maintain that wet look. You just spray the sealer over the whole package again. The stepping stones, the rocks, the whole works. But we're just going to leave these natural. They're very colorful anyway. Turned out beautiful, I must say. Anyway, if you guys want to do stepping stones like this, it's pretty easy to do actually for a DIY project. I'm going to put a link in the description where you can get all these materials. That way you can have them shipped right to you. Really sweet and simple. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.